The national debt has exceeded $37.224 trillion today. That is a number that's so big nobody can truly comprehend it. But it's worse. If you read my book, Plunder and Deceit, some years ago, you know that there's a debt that's held off the books. That $37.224 trillion does not include so-called entitlements like Social Security and Medicare and the obligations that are owed. Every single business in America that has a health care program or a pension program, which is their equivalent, I suppose, to Social Security or Medicare. I understand it's inexact, but it's good enough. They have to account for the ability to pay for those obligations down the road. The federal government does not. The one entity that does is the Postal Service, because it's quasi-private. So when you hear that the Postal Service is running a massive debt and it has to keep increasing its prices, including for first-class stamps, that's why. It has to cover its out-year obligations to its personnel. To the best of my knowledge, it is the only entity within the federal government that has to do it. So for all the attacks on the Postal Service, whatever you think, the fact of the matter is their books are more honest. Hello, their books are more honest than any other entity or department in the federal government. Any. Because the rest of the federal government does not account for its financial obligations. So the real debt, as I wrote about in that book, far exceeds 37. God bless me. Far exceeds what is today $37.224 trillion. The media are reporting on that. They're reporting on nothing else. Nothing else when it comes to the debt. But when you include these so-called entitlement obligations, whether they're pension or medical, do you know what our debt is, Mr. Producer? Over $300 trillion. Over $300 trillion. You're not going to hear that anywhere else, even though I wrote about it many years ago. There's been congressional testimony about this from certain economists. But our government doesn't keep honest books. So the debt is over $300 trillion. It's not $37 trillion. And so, Mark, you ask, what do we do about it? You supported President Trump's big, beautiful bill. We know what we have to do about it. We know what we have to do about it. We have to have a convention of states that puts in place limitations on spending connected to the gross domestic product, the growth, that is the GDP, that occurs each year. And if it doesn't grow, it doesn't go up. If it goes down, it goes down. That's the key. That's the key. And I've written it out in that book, The Liberty Amendments, has been sitting there untouched by politicians for years. So there are answers. Congress is not going to do it. Congress can't do it. Politically, it can't do it. It won't do it. I was asked by Stephen A. Smith, we talked about the debt a bit, and I said, the Democrats never provide a list. Let's see a list. Both parties, they put entitlements off the table. So you're left with about less than 20% of the federal budget. Less than 20%, and that includes defense spending. That includes the border. That includes the Department of Justice, the Department of Agriculture, and all the rest of it. So as you can see, the debt is absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. And if you're just going to focus on discretionary spending, it's not going to happen. But they're not going to touch these so-called entitlements. They're not entitlements. You and I have paid into Social Security and Medicare, but I'm using the phraseology that's thrown around so there's no confusion. So they can't. Congress can't fix this. I don't care if they beat their chests, pat themselves on the head, shut down the government. The only way to fix this is convention of states. I'm just telling you the truth. Now let's move on. Adam Schiff. It appears that Adam Schiff is not only accused of being a crook, and is under criminal investigation now, but he's now being accused of what is effectively treason. And here's the story that's breaking in the New York Post as I speak. Adam Schiff approved intel leaks to smear Trump. Thought he'd be CIA chief if Hillary Clinton won, whistleblower says, by Ryan King. Senator Adam Schiff, then the top Democrat on the House Intelligence Committee, authorized leaks of classified information to tarnish President Trump's image during the Russiagate probe, having assumed he would lead the CIA in a Hillary Clinton administration, according to newly released whistleblower statements. Now, you may recall Adam Schiff relied on a whistleblower, a so-called whistleblower, a liberal Democrat staffer, who they protected. You couldn't even mention the person's name in the media, so I mentioned it over and over and over and over again. Nobody's going to tell us not to mention the whistleblower's name. But the sword's cut the other way now. The unidentified male source, who worked as a Democratic staffer on the House Intelligence Committee for 12 years, after more than 2 decades in the intelligence community, so no rabid right-wing Republican, told FBI agents in December 2017 that the mood among the panel became, quote, indescribable, unquote, after Trump's upset win the year before. According to a summary of the interview obtained by the Post, quote, ranking member Schiff was particularly upset as he had believed he would have been appointed as the director of the CIA had candidate Hillary Clinton won the election. You see, they thought the fix was in. You know, they had the dossier, they had the FBI, they had the intelligence organizations, they had lied to the FISA court, Obama was in on it, half the cabinet was in on it, the media were in on it. They just figured they had Trump where they wanted him, and there was no way they were going to lose. Which is why when he won, they went after him and tried to destroy him. Which is why when he was a private citizen, they went after him and tried to destroy him. Which is why when he ran for president again, they went after him and tried to destroy him. And he's won. They're still going after him and trying to destroy him. And if they take the House, and we're going to be focused very heavily on the House in the months ahead, they'll do the same thing. So we have to stop them. You and me. We, the people. In September 2017, the same whistleblower told investigators that he had heard from congressional staff colleagues around October 2016 that Schiff would be offered the CIA job if Clinton had won. After Trump was sworn in as the 45th president, the September 2017 interview summary reads, quote, Schiff believed Russia hijacked the election and the United States was in the middle of a constitutional crisis. Classified information began leaking to the media. The Democratic minority leadership in the Intelligence Committee was aware of the leaks, but was under the impression that leaking the information was one way to topple the administration and fix the constitutional crisis. Now, this is an interview this whistleblower had in September 2017. He told this stuff to the FBI. This means the FBI knew. Where was Christopher Wray? He eventually was appointed by Trump. Where was he? It goes on. During an FBI interview in June 2023, the whistleblower recalled being part of an all-staff meeting called by now Senator Schiff, which the Democrat, quote, stated the group would leak classified information, which was derogatory to the President of the United States, stated the information would be used to indict Trump as president, to indict him. Well, as you know, you don't indict a sitting president, but they don't care. The whistleblower said he objected to Schiff's idea. A summary of that interview reveals, only to be told by other participants, quote, that they would not be caught leaking classified information. In other words, leak it, you won't get caught. Of course not, because the media will cover for you. Sometime later, the whistleblower said he was approached again about leaking against Trump and responded that, quote, he believed this activity to be unethical and treasonous. The whistleblower later reached out to the FBI and was even invited to attend a mock grand jury hearing, only to later be told the Justice Department would not investigate further. That is, his allegations. They were not going to investigate further. Investigators believe Schiff, now 65, was protected by the Constitution's speech and debate clause. Of course, you're not protected by the Constitution's speech and debate clause if you're committing crimes, ladies and gentlemen. So that was a lie. That was a lie. Which bars the apprehension of legislators for their professional activities except in the event of felony, treason, and breach of the peace. Well, this was not part of his official duties. They pull this same stuff with the immunity of the president. It's not part of Obama's official duties to direct the CIA and the intel community to produce a reassessment that gives him what he wants, which is Russia collusion that never existed. Now, the whistleblower claimed during his June 2023 interview that he did not believe Schiff's actions were covered by the speech or debate clause, and the whistleblower was correct. The whistleblower's claims were first reported by Just the News, with FBI Director Kash Patel confirming on Twitter, X, Monday night. Quote, "We found it, we declassified it. Now Congress can see how classified information was leaked to shape political narratives and decide if our institutions were weaponized against the American people," unquote. Footnote here. All the attacks against Patel and Bongino were bullcrap. Bullcrap pushed by these phony podcasters, these anti-Semite, isolation, America-hating, fake MAGA podcasters. You can see they're releasing very important information, and they've been legitimately, legally. Patel previously worked as a top aide to former House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes and authored a memo accusing FBI officials of abusing their power during the Trump-Russia investigation, which proceeded under the code name Crossfire Hurricane. Now, this whistleblower was described as, quote, friends with both Schiff and Nunes, unquote, and someone who, quote, worked with senior political leaders from both major political parties. However, an October 2017 FBI memo claimed that word was spreading among committee staff that the whistleblower had been fired by a, quote, perceived lack of party loyalty, unquote. When a Republican staffer went to offer condolences, the memo relates, the whistleblower told them they had lost their job because, quote, there was an expectation of leaking, and he refused to participate, unquote. Over drinks that evening, the whistleblower claimed the Democrats on the Intel Committee had established a system for leaking in which sensitive information would be given to Adam Schiff, after which a decision was made as to who would leak the information. One prominent oversharer, according to the whistleblower, was, guess who? Eric Swalwell, another committee member. In the December 2017 FBI interview, the whistleblower recounted how a particularly sensitive document was seen by a small group of lawmakers and staff, including Schiff and Swalwell, but leaked out almost verbatim within a day. And the whistleblower allegedly claimed to have been warned to be careful because he, Swalwell, had a reputation for leaking classified information. Schiff, who spearheaded the first impeachment of Trump in 2019, had long been suspected by Republicans of leaking classified information. During the Russiagate saga, he also infamously read key portions of the since-debunked Steele dossier into the congressional record in 2017. They need to get to the bottom of this. DOJ will conduct a criminal investigation, but in my view, the Ethics Committee in the House should conduct an investigation, and if they find even a single ground that he did this, he should be expelled from the Senate. The Senate Ethics Committee should take this up. They don't need to be asked to. They should take it up on their own.